Every time we choose illusion over truth, our consequences stack up. And so you may know this as karmic debt, what karmic debt is. So today in this video, I'm going to be breaking down what karmic debt is from a logical, analytical perspective that you can understand from the realm of the mind. I think that spiritual concepts can be kind of magical and fantasy-like sometimes, where we believe in them, but we don't truly understand how they actually work. We can't conceptualize how they work. So by the time you finish watching this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of and trust in the spiritual concept and how it works for people in your life and for your own self. So on this channel recently, I've been talking about inner conflict. And inner conflict has a lot to do with truth and trust. So truth and trust are kind of two in the same. They're like a perfect pair in the realm of higher levels of consciousness and spirituality. And so when we choose truth and we exist in an energy of truth, we do that through trust, trusting ourselves, trusting the universe. When we behave from energies of trust, we don't allow evil to infiltrate or influence our energy. We aren't able to be controlled by evil energies. We are naturally more kind and loving and compassionate and creating realities that are beneficial and positive for the world when we are existing in an energy of trust. We send out benevolent love to the world. And so choosing truth means that we choose to live in reality. If you want more context for the concepts I'm talking about in this video, I would recommend watching my video about inner conflict. I'll link it up above. But in this world of karma, how people rack up karma for themselves is by distorting reality and living in their illusions. So narcissistic people do this a lot. When the narcissist does something wrong, they distort their own perception. They convince themselves that the victim is the problem, that the victim is difficult, that the victim is overdramatic, that it's the victim's fault. That's an example of someone choosing illusion over truth. And when people do this, choosing illusion over truth, they rack up karmic debt. Another word for this would be consequences. They rack up consequences. So depending on which choice you make dictates which consequences you face. We call this good karma and bad karma. So the thing about this is that good karma doesn't necessarily mean that you are only going to attract positive experiences into your life. What good karma is it's how people act in response to the painful experiences in their life. And so this is a core mechanism of the earth school, that we are faced with these extremely challenging energies of suffering and separation and abuse, and we are testing our souls. What choice will we make? Will we choose the truth or will we choose the illusion? And when you choose the truth, you activate what we call good karma in the way that your actions in relation to your experiences, whether painful or positive, generate a positive effect on your character and your life. When we choose illusion, your actions in response to your painful experiences generate a negative effect on your character and your life. And so this is why the amount of trauma one goes through doesn't really have any indication of whether or not they're a good person or not, or whether they have a good character or not. It's what action does that person take in relation to their experiences? So another way we can understand this is with people who experience jealousy and envy, which often narcissistic people do. When you see someone and you think that they're so intelligent, like they have all these traits that you really love and that you admire, and you feel jealousy or you feel envy, what they're experiencing is a character that has been created by their own actions, right? That intelligent person that you admire and that you think is so amazing and better than you, they're not better than you. Their actions have compounded to create a positive effect on their life and their character. And the reason why people feel jealous or envious of that person is because their actions have actually had a negative effect on their character that makes them jealous and envious. They're likely to be jealous and envious of others, which makes it very difficult, right, for them to, become that version of them that they secretly desire. But their actions in responses to their experiences are always creating this kind of deterioration of their character. So this is how the karmic debt compounds for people, and the consequences get higher and higher and bigger the more you choose the illusion, and the same on the opposite side. And I've recently come to understand this in a way that is quite profound. And I kind of generated this insight from a really painful experience that I went through. And in my video about inner conflict, I talked about how when you're in an abusive relationship, an example of choosing truth would be to acknowledge the reality that the person that you're with is actively harming you and abusive, that they know what they're doing. So there's actually a negative consequence to that truth. The positive consequence is that you are now able to protect yourself from this person. But there's a whole host of seemingly negative consequences that come with that realization. When you realize someone you're dating is an abuser who knows exactly what they're doing, when you realize that, the consequence now is that you must protect yourself. You must end this relationship. If you have any, shared a house or a car, or they owe you money or whatever it is, you don't have to let that go because you have to end the relationship. And then it creates a whole other chain reaction of other consequences, because maybe this abuser is actually just like a family member of yours. So now you have to sit with the truth and the fact that, whoa, not only is this person abusive, but also a family member of mine is abusive. And so that is good karma, though, because as we move closer and closer to the truth, we become more, we don't have to be in reality with those people anymore. So there's like this whole chain of consequences that occur when you see the truth. And on the flip side, when we get into the choosing illusion, if you choose the illusionary aspect of the relationship, what this would look like is, if you're dating an abuser, you start to become like the abuser, right? To mitigate the pain that they cause you. You start to adopt their behaviors into your life. And so by choosing that illusion, choosing to, pretend that they're not abusive and they're not doing anything wrong, when you choose that illusion, you now are able to act out those same behaviors and not know that you're an abuser and that you're doing anything wrong. And then the consequences of that extremely compound, because now for each choice you take in that illusion, you're making the consequences of the truth way bigger. And so people build themselves these prisons that make it eventually so that no matter what they choose, they're destroying their own life. And that's the karmic debt. And so I'll explain this a little bit deeper, right? You choose the illusion in relationship with an abuser, you become more like the abuser, you have a house with them with a really expensive mortgage, you have a few kids with them, and so now if you ever wanted to exit this abusive relationship, well, you'd lose your house, you'd lose all your shared assets, you'd have to uproot your entire life, your kids would have to go through a separation. There's a massive amount of consequences now that come with choosing the truth and seeing the truth. And this is why people who choose illusion, they build themselves these karmic prisons. And in the end, they start to destroy their own life. You know, they start to destroy their relationships with their children. If you have experienced, you know, a toxic family system, which if you're on this video, you probably have, this is kind of what happens, is that, you know, an abuser enters a victim's life, and that victim becomes an abuser, and now they're abusers together, and then they abuse their kids, and they can't really step out of it because the consequences would just be so high to step out of the truth, to step into the truth and try and reconcile with their actions. And so you may have noticed this dynamic with narcissists. They tend to put people in no-win situations. So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. No matter what you do, you can't do anything right. They criticize you if you're wrong, they criticize you if you're right. No matter what you do, you can't do anything right. And so this is a common karmic debt that narcissists actually create for themselves, where they racked up so much karma from choosing the illusion that no matter what they choose, it gets to a point where no matter what they choose, they will destroy their lives. If they choose this truth, they lose their home, maybe they lose their kids, they create extreme conflict, they lose their job. If they keep choosing the illusion, they eventually destroy their mental health so badly that they might lose their home, they might lose their kids, they might lose their jobs. They destroy their relationships with their children, with everyone around them, and they make themselves completely alone. So that is how karma and karmic debt compounds in people's lives. And I hope this was clarifying for you and gave you a deeper understanding. If it did, I would love for you to support my channel, support my videos, leave a like, and thank you so much for watching.